Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time you guys are checking us out, and welcome back to another episode of XSGaming Podcast. This is episode 146. We're recording this on the 11th of October. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Skullion, and joining with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
Greetings and salutations. I hope all of you, no matter what time you're listening, have had a slightly better morning than both of us have had. I hope you're having some good weather, and if you have tomorrow, well, depending on what day you're listening, Monday coming up is a holiday, but if you get that holiday off, hope you enjoy it and get to hang out and have some good times, and I hope you all are doing well.
Indeed, and man, I before I get into the gaming news, James, I gotta tell you, I had a very bomb dinner last night. Big shout out to Kimberly, because she was like on an adventure. She was off yesterday, and Friday night we were talking about dinner, and I was like, man, I kind of want some poutine. And she's like, poutine? And then she was like, isn't that Canadian dish? And I'm like, yeah. And she was driving everywhere. She went to Aldi's, went to Target, went to Food Lion. Those were the only places in town that had authentic cheese curds. So she got some cheese curds, she made some homemade gravy, some french fries, and here's another thing she did. She made homemade pulled pork barbecue egg rolls. And oh my God, I ate it last night, and I knew I was going to sleep well. Like I was this instant food coma, but poutine.
I saw some of the pictures, and I was kind of, I didn't think I was like, and there was also like the slaw, and I was kind of like slaw, but then I realized I was like, hey, pulled pork egg rolls, we're in the South, man. It's kind of barbecue, coleslaw, got to go together. I might be like, hey, throw that coleslaw up in the egg roll too, but I mean, that might not work. You might dip it in the slaw, maybe that might.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I did. Is I had like a little spoon, and I would like take a bite of the egg roll and like a spoonful of like slaw and eat some more of it. It was like a little side dish. I wanted to make sure I said slaw, because in the picture I was like, it looks kind of like rice.
It did.
like sticky rice. And I'm like, no, it's not sticky rice. That'd be really weird.
I can say I had a lady on my route one time. She's a Japanese, and she gave me an egg roll one time, and she was like, she caught me. She's like, be careful, it's hot, And I waited a little bit, and like I bit it, and it still burnt me. But dude, I tell you, that egg roll, and I've been meaning to tell her again, so hopefully that maybe she'll give me more when I see her, that literally was the best egg roll like I've ever had. And I don't know if she's doing it for, like her church, because we have a lot of like, spring roll, egg roll sales for a lot of the churches. Sometimes it's Korean churches, but this lady, like her name, I can tell was like clearly Japanese. But then again, too, you don't know the family lineage, but man, dude, that egg roll was so good. And then, I had some Thai food last night, which is always great. And one of my favorite dishes is the Pad Prik King, just like a curry green bean with chicken. But lately I've been getting the ginger chicken. The ginger chicken, man, it's become a complete favorite, and I have trouble giving it up, man. But it's like I sometimes like, I'll just go with that. Add some beef salad and stuff too. And I mean, the Thai place is sesame chicken. Also, to me, it kills any sesame chicken at a Chinese restaurant. There's it's this distinct flavor. I want to say it might be something like a oyster sauce. My wife says it's a little bit more garlic. I don't know what it is, but the flavor, like I'll take the sauce from the sesame chicken and like dip spring rolls, or like put it on my ginger chicken too, and it's this perfect taste, man. So like, food rules.
Yeah, and the thing is, folks that are listening, egg rolls, like the egg rolls themselves, they're really not that hard to make. Like if you can roll a burrito, you can roll an egg roll. It's pretty much the same thing. She got like the egg roll sheets from Aldi's. They were like vegan, but they were just amazing. Like everything about that. But yes, this is a gaming podcast, but we had to talk about some food for a second, because I freaking love food. But
we might just do a food special based around Cooking Mama, and just talk about food the whole time.
Oh yeah. But speaking of some gaming news, there's been a little bit of gaming news going on, and the first story I wanted to share, I honestly was laughing about it. I'm gonna call this mother Nintendo Nancy. That's what I'm going to call her, okay? Because the headline to this is Mother and Son Sue Nintendo for $5 million over Joy-Con drift. Now, James, you know about Joy-Con drift, correct?
Yeah, definitely not. I know it was like an early problem. Nintendo, I think they did charge for it at first, but eventually they, just ended up, they refunded people that they did charge, and it's become a known problem.
Yeah.
And they have been doing what they can to fix it. It's nothing like I've been lucky, like I've not experienced it. Maybe it's my awesome red and blue Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. I don't know, but I'm glad. Like I probably just haven't played it as much as everybody else, and it'll like hit me like 3 years later. That's probably what will happen.
It's interesting because like especially during the quarantine, I was playing a lot more of my Switch on the TV. I wasn't really playing it as a handheld until recently, and I was playing Animal Crossing using the Joy-Cons because my Pro controller had like died, so I was using it as a controller. And
Did die or just
yeah, the batteries died. I just had to recharge it.
Oh.
But the one of my left Joy-Con actually was getting a little bit of a drift. Like I was playing Animal Crossing, my character was like going up, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" So I reset. I was seeing if my joysticks need to be calibrated. Basically, all I did was took a Q-tip and I kind of just cleaned the bottom of the. I didn't have to take anything apart. Just cleaned the bottom of the Joy-Con and it was fine. So that's the closest I've gotten to Joy-Con drift. I know some people have had bigger issues. But going to this story, it says, according to Wired, who reported that La Sanchez and her 9-10-year-old, since it's a minor, they couldn't really say specifically if he was 9 or 10, had a complaint in Northern California. The complaint states that Sanchez purchased a Nintendo Switch for her son in December 2018. Within a month, encountered Joy-Con drift. The drift refers to, I'm not going to go over that, we just talked about that. Less than a year later, the filing states that the Joy-Con drift becomes so pronounced that the controllers became unoperable for general gameplay use. Sanchez bought another set of controllers, which began to drift 7 months later. Nintendo does offer free repairs to affect users, but Sanchez lawyers claim that this is not sufficient, given that Nintendo continues to sell the Joy-Cons at full price despite the known fault. Defendant continues to market and sell the products with full knowledge of the defect without disclosing the Joy-Con drift defect to consumers in its market promotion or packaging, it says. And the defendant had a financial motive to conceal the defect, and it did not want to stop selling the products and would need to expend a significant amount of money to cure the defect. Of course, this isn't the first time that Nintendo's had legal issues with Joy-Con drift, but $5 million? That's a little like, whoa. That's a little crazy, isn't it, James?
It is. It's one of those things where I'm like, he's probably gonna, maybe they'll settle, get a few free Switch games. But I mean, it would be nice to bring up the fact that they are, still selling these. The fact that they do fix them is great, but you'd still have to send it in and wait and blah blah blah, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to wait, and I kind of wish they really would go ahead and fix this problem. Like I said, I'm lucky to not have had it.
Yeah, they need to really do a new style of Joy-Con. And I think the best thing would be like a new style of Joy-Con, and maybe have that new style a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean that really would be great. Just that they acknowledge, of course, as they have though.
Yeah.
Though sometimes I think they try to say it's not a huge problem, even though they are fixing them for free. But I mean, you shouldn't really have to do that. Like none of us want to. It does seem minor when you think about it. You're like, man, a lawsuit, that's silly. But if somehow this lawsuit, like I said, they're not going to get whatever they're suing for, get a free few games, but maybe they will, make Nintendo kind of, get to the point and make sure. Because I thought maybe they had updated it in some of these newer ones, and maybe some of the standalone ones, they have are a little bit more updated. But it's a problem. It would be nice to not have, because I mean, it's just. We can go back to our day and get Super Nintendo. I mean, you never had a problem with that controller.
Exactly.
So it's like, you don't want to have one now.
This honestly...
From both sides.
Yeah, this honestly makes think of the N64 days. You remember when Mario Party came out? And there was that one mini game that you had to spin the joystick with your hand. and it started like messing up everyone's joysticks, and Nintendo started fixing it, and they even sent like these white protective gloves to wear so it wouldn't hurt your hand because people were reporting hand injuries. That's what it made me think of. I was like, oh man, this is wild. But I mean, even the Switch Lite has had reports of Joy-Con drift. So I mean, it is a pretty significant issue. Is it a $5 million settlement issue? I don't think so. Like that's.
Yeah.
I don't want.
It makes you look at the big picture, because you can go back to the, even like the lady who burned herself at McDonald's with the coffee, and people can say like, oh, coffee's hot, but this lady literally got burnt to the bone, and like sometimes we don't get the full picture of the lawsuits. This one's a little bit different. Nobody was injured through this. I'm sure the kid's feelings were hurt, and he was really disappointed, which that means a lot when you're a kid. That disappointment like stings you to the bone, much like coffee would burn you to the bone. Still not the same. But if anything, maybe this lawsuit will, bring to light some of the problems, and they will step up a little bit more, because we'd rather have, working controllers from the start. Like, I don't want to send it in. Some of us, hey, we can go out and buy like a new set while we wait. Not everybody can do that. That kid might have been lucky just to get the Switch at all. And, so I kind of feel for him. And like, it does sound, silly from the outside, but if you really look at it, you kind of got to look at both sides, and like it still might be a little silly, but not quite as silly as you think. So maybe some things will change over this, but if they're not getting $5 million like that, that's not happening.
No, you did
Reggie
a great.
Might come hang out at his party.
No, you made a really good segue, because you were talking about like the hot coffee. That goes back to my other news story about the Xbox response to claims that the Xbox Series X runs hot. There's been an awful lot of time talking about the cooling and heat of the next-gen console these days. Let's be real. It beats talking about some of the other things that are happening in the world right now. But the other day, we got a glimpse of some of the most impressive and bulky cooling solutions sitting inside the PS5's wild-looking case, which I will get back to in the next news article to talk about. But a lot of folks have been talking about the Xbox Series X getting extremely hot. Is it running hot, or is it just case-by-case thing when doing backwards compatibility? Now, Xbox responded to this. They said the console will output system heat out of the exhaust, just like any other console will. Our engineers team confirmed that the heat leaving the console is not significantly different than the Xbox One X, and this matches my experience at home. Quiet, fast, and impressive power for the size. So yeah, I mean, Xbox is already kind of damage controlling folks that have been reporting that the Series X could be having a heat issue.
So are these people that have got like pre-release systems?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, where is this coming from?
Is it out yet? Like, what?
No. But I mean, apparently this is something people are talking about. They're like, yeah, it seems to be running really, really hot. I guess it is, people that may have had the console for review purposes, or
I do
something like
about
that.
I think a lot of people have, got some early, because someone did I think like a deconstruct of one of them, going through it. So maybe that's what they are experiencing with it. So, but we see this before, in the past. Those people that get those systems, right off the start, man, you deal with some issues. You are our guinea pigs, because we usually, even though I said I'd get one if I could. And I would like to say, as far as I know, GameStop, they're and probably other stores are still honoring that 24-month plan, even at launch. So like, if you didn't get one of the pre-orders right away, there's still probably a good chance, to do that plan, from many stores. Just hopefully, yours doesn't run hot and burn up.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that people have to take in consideration. And just because a system runs hot, I will say this: just because a system runs hot doesn't mean it's defective, or it means that something's wrong with it. Because you think about PCs. PCs themselves run really, really hot. That's why there's like cooling systems and stuff like that. Because the thing is when it pushes that heat out, you're going to feel the heat. So, I mean, I don't have a Series X, obviously. And I'm not trying to damage control from Microsoft, but I will say this is something that I take as a grain of salt, and we'll see how it goes, when we do a podcast in January and folks have had their Series X for a couple months now. Is this going to be like a new Red Ring of Death, or is it just people being kind of cautious because of the Red Ring of Death back during the 360 era?
Yeah, I mean, and you got to be. I mean, you don't want something, sometimes. And then the good thing is most new systems, automatically shut off, which is great. But it's like you don't want something, dangerous in your house. Also, to think about where you put it. Myself, my X1S is I kind of have it in like a more smaller. It's kind of like a little TV shelf that has little slots. And, I keep mine in that, and it doesn't have the biggest area of space, honestly. I've never had issues. But that is one thing, too, because these, a lot of things are powerful systems, whether you got that DVD player. Lots of times, sometimes you might want to give them, a little bit more air if you can. Yeah. And a lot of these shelves they have, like the pre-made ones, aren't really built, for that. Whereas a DVD player, could be okay. But, game systems running, you might sit there and play, for a super long time. And it's like that could cause some issues. So you do want to kind of give them as much air as possible, even with the built-in fans and stuff. But hopefully it's something that, they figure out. And those of us that get them later on, they get it figured out by then.
And speaking of like tearing down consoles, they did have a full deconstruct of the PS5. One of the engineers did a short video of the PS5 teardown, and I have to say it's a pretty big console. I mean, I knew it was going to be a big console. They said it was like one of the largest home consoles ever made, but it is pretty big. And what's really interesting though is like the little white wings, like the white little wrap that it has around it.
Yeah.
Apparently they're easy to take off. So people are already like, oh my gosh, I have a 3D printer. I'm going to make my own custom PS5 console pretty much. And maybe we'll see a return of like almost like the faceplates that we saw with the original 360. Like maybe we'll see third-party wraps that people can put on their consoles. Only thing is like I just want to make sure that, again, talking about heat, talking about the way things are, I would tell folks, wait before you decide to start customizing your PS5, because I would hate for someone to take those that white wrap off their PS5 and customize it and void their whole warranty. I would hate to see that. So
yeah, that is a big thing. Like warranties are good to have. Just keep an eye out. People, which I'm sure the people do. Hey, look up at other people, the other guinea pigs that might have, tried it out and seen what happened. And I mean, it's just so new. Like it's not even out. It's kind of crazy. People are already thinking about modifying it. It's like, man, just maybe give it a little minute.
Yeah, well,
love the ingenuity of the people, man. I mean, they really do bring it, and they really do, take a lot of this stuff like super serious and try to fix problems, that are there.
Yeah, and you do have people, and I mean, I know plenty of people online that they will buy technology just to take it apart and just see how it works, like tinker with it.
That's awesome.
That's how the Switch got hacked so early on. Is people bought a Switch and they're like, all right, I got a Switch. What makes the Switch tick? I'm going to figure this out and figure out how to put homebrew on it. And we see that with all the mini consoles too. So I just tell people, be kind of cautious. When you're about to spend at least $500, before you start trying to like weed whack it.
Let some of the experts completely figure it out. Like I said, you got your super tinkerers and then your minor tinkerers. If you're a minor tinkerer, maybe just wait till the super tinkerer gets to it first.
Exactly. Now, speaking of, this is the last piece of gaming news. Speaking of PS5, we're going to talk a little bit about how the save data will transfer from the PS4 to the PS5. In the recent weeks, it's become clear that the PS5 will be backward compatible with nearly all PS4 games. Not all PS4 games will be able to transfer save data to the PS5. The reason for this may be vary depending on the game, but overall fans have had an extent idea of what type of games will be transferable. Luckily, though, Sony has started to clarify things this weekend. A new page on the PlayStation support page goes into detail on the matter of PS4 to PS5 Save Compatibility. But the gist is just that. The most part is digital game owners should be able to transfer their saves to the next PlayStation without having too much fuss. According to Sony, there will be two ways to transfer save data between the two consoles. The first is to transfer the data from the PS4 to the PS5 via Wi-Fi connection, while the second is to access one's games library on the PS5, find their PS4 games, and download them from there. It's like there won't be any other options. However, elaborating on the PlayStation blog, Sony confirmed that PS4 owners will be able to transfer games and save data between the consoles via LAN connection or external USB storage device. This will be definitely a good option for those with Wi-Fi speeds on the slow side. As for physical copies, the company stated that the players will be able to transfer their save data as well, but only if they have a standard PS5 and after they upgrade to the PS5's version of their games. Now, I think this was something that they really brought up because one game that they said you would not be able to transfer your save data is the last Spider-Man game that came out on PS4. Because apparently Spider-Man's getting a remaster for PS5, and they said that you can't transfer your PS4 save to the remastered PS5 version. And everyone's been talking about the way Peter Parker looks in the remaster. That's been a thing.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'm lucky if I even beat a game. Chances are it's been so long since I stopped playing it. If I restart, I'm gonna have to start over again.
Yeah,
and I'll get partway through and stop and have to restart it again. And that's my own process. I don't know, OCD. It's something wrong with me. I have to do. So this doesn't really seem like something that'll affect me. But I mean, for the super hardcore people, I could see them being a little upset. Say for instance, even with me, like Yakuza. Say if I wanted to replay one of those. And I'd beaten one, and it's like, hey, I wouldn't mind, doing the restart, with the extra shit, when you beat it.
Not to mention the cool stuff that RGG Studios does. Like if you have a save file of a previous Yakuza game, they congratulate you and give you like more items. Like Fist North Star did it. A couple of the Kiwamis have done it, as well as Judgment.
Most of the games do.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. Whether it's just a little something extra, they do at least reward you. And like I said, if you have beaten the game, you can go back through. As a lot of games have with that, Ultimate Game where you start with all your points and whatever, and you can go back through. So this is one like it's a minor thing. I mean, people will make a major deal out of it. Once again, I like that lawsuit earlier. I try to see both sides. Something that seems minimal to me. Could be major to somebody else, and I'm not really gonna judge and be like, oh, you're being a baby about this. I'm not gonna do that. So, hopefully they can get it all, figured out in the long run.
My main thing is I just want to be able to take my download of PT and transfer it to my PS5 whenever I get one, because that game, of course, that game's lost in that demo is lost in the sands of time. And I've kept it on my PS4 since I downloaded it back in 2015, and I don't want to lose it. Even though I don't even play PT anymore. It's not like I go back and I'm like, oh, I'm going to play that one demo that was going to be a Silent Hill game.
It's the point.
It's the point that that's a piece of gaming history that is lost. If it's not on my PS4, I can no longer play it. So that's something
I wish they would just go ahead and make that damn game. Come on.
I know.
They could probably go ahead and kickstart that shit at this point, man. People want that. Just go ahead. Just give it to them. Come on.
Exactly. But that's some of the gaming news. And folks, if you have any news you want us to share, you can always hit me up on Twitter on XSGaming Podcast. Also, be sure to leave us a review if you're checking us out on iTunes or Spotify, Stitcher, your favorite podcaster choice. And if we aren't on your favorite podcaster catcher, you can always DM me on Twitter at XSGaming Podcast. But getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode, I thought, we had a couple ideas that you and I were throwing back and forth, James. And one idea you had, I was just like, I can't believe we've never talked about this. We've never really, we've done this podcast for 8 years, and we've never had a Super Mario episode talking about Mario. And what better way than to talk about it during the 35th anniversary? Now, I want to pull up my Facebook here because I did get some feedback from folks about Super Mario while my phone's going off. But I'm gonna ask you real quick while I'm pulling this up, James. What is your definitive Mario game?
I mean, it's Mario 3. It's always this one that's kind of in debate sometimes because people still argue, which you always love hearing about between Super Mario and Mario 3. It's just it's that constant battle, like which one is better, and we've had so many since then. These games are almost 20 years old. Some are Super being a little bit less than. And we've still had many great Mario games since then. But for me, Mario's so long-lasting and eternal. It kind of depends on when you were born, how old you are.
Yeah.
So many will hold 64 in high regard. Whereas for me, being a kid, it's just something. And even going back, like I said, as I'll go back and play in Super Mario World, I think it's still, that's a hard game, dude. I have a lot of trouble with Super Mario World. I mean, they're all kind of tough, but I still think they're all very fair. But man, Mario 3, like that was just the one that I can remember with friends. That was the one that had the even a joke. That was the one that had the joke at the end. God, I hope I'm telling about the right one. That was
when you say the princess and they try to say she's in another castle.
Yeah, dude, I remember because me and my friends, like, we'd split the levels. He was better at like some of the boss levels. I was better at some of the other stuff. We'd split it up, and you get that. And I can remember I was sitting on that damn beanbag in front of his little 13-inch TV and being like your jaws dropped, and it was like in another castle, and it's like, oh, haha, like sorry.
Yeah.
Like just a joke, but I mean, like 3 for me, just it's still the outfits, the suits, the everything. I mean, it was kind of like the pinnacle. You can go back to even the Wizard. I mean, come on, the Wizard was like a big commercial.
It really was,
3,
yeah.
And it's still held in such high regard. People still love it, and I love that people still fight which is. And when we talk about which is the best Mario, it's usually in between. Super to Super Mario World. The other ones are a new generation, but when we argue about those up to the Super NES, it's like which is the better one?
Yeah, the classics. Yeah. For me, and I remember I made a video about this a couple of months ago where I had like my own little which is better, Super Mario 3 or Super Mario World. I mean, they're both amazing games. Super Mario 3. While I like Super Mario World more, Super Mario 3 does have a very special place in my heart because it was the first game I had for my Nintendo when I got it from my grandpa. And I was going to ask you this too, James, but I'm going to answer my side. My first introduction to Super Mario wasn't actually the video game. My introduction to Super Mario was watching the Super Mario Super Show cartoon. That's how I found out who Mario was, and that's before I even knew about video games. I was like 4 or 5 years old at the time, and I remember I watched that cartoon. I really liked the cartoon, and I found out that it was based off of a video game. I found out it was about Nintendo, and that's when my grandpa ended up getting me and my sister a Nintendo for Christmas that year with Super Mario Brothers 3. But what was your first introduction to Mario?
Yeah, I mean, so I can see that because we do have, a little bit of an age difference. Whereas like I played, Donkey Kong in the arcade, not realizing who Mario was. Kind of that whole mythos it came later. You didn't realize it. Like I played, Mario Brothers just itself. I think in the arcade, but the Nintendo was that first one where that's kind of like the Super Mario. Like that was the real game. Like, Donkey Kong, he was like a little side thing. Mario Brothers was it's an okay game. I don't think that's anybody's favorite game. It changed gaming. Whereas Super Mario Brothers changed gaming, which came with the Nintendo, and it was, like my friend down the street. And it could be a mixture of that and also, like a Play Choice 10. Some of those came a bit later, but my friend down the street getting the Mario first and playing the Super Mario Brothers down there to where he got it. And I don't know if he got it at one Christmas or he might have got it birthday, and I got it not long after. But it's that one. I mean, it was still one of the greatest games. You know, you think that they gave you that with the system. And if you had the one with, of course, you know, the action set, you got Duck Hunt, the Zapper, you know, and Mario. Man, two really cool games. You know, Duck Hunt could really only do so much, but you know, Mario Brothers is one that would really. It's kind of funny how long it took us to get through games, because as kids, you really do have the time. I mean, granted, during quarantine, sometimes like many people have time to sit there a lot and play some games for good or bad. But as a kid, that was that time like you could really, you know, it's like you could just sit there like all day and play it, and it still seemed to take forever, you know, to get through. And it's just like that was the standard game. You go back and play it, man, it's still good, and it's still tough, dude. Like I have a problem like going back. Like I suck at Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I actually have a video of my nephew playing Super Mario for the first time. He's like eight now, but this is back when he was probably like 3, going on 4. And I remember I had my Nintendo hooked up, and he was sitting on my bed, and I was showing him how to, you know, push B to run, and the D-pad to move around, the A. And it was just kind of mesmerizing seeing him have trouble with it, you know, because it's such a second nature to me. Like, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how hard this was. And I remember him standing still in one area and kept pushing the A button to jump to kill that first Goomba in Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And there's no telling how many kids were killed by that first Goomba playing. I remember for me, it was the pitfalls. Because I'd be running, and I knew to jump on the Goombas, but I always fall down the pitfall, and I'm like, oh, that's it, you know. And it was just seeing how a young child's brain was running Mario. Like, that was such a crazy thing. I haven't seen that in years, since I was a kid. So
yeah,
and now
tough to remember like how you went through it yourself.
Yeah, now he's you know, beating games like Breath of the Wild. I'm like, holy shit, kid. He went for, you know, 4 years ago he couldn't kill a Goomba. Now he's like telling about how to kill the freaking lion things in Breath of the Wild.
You see just everything so much in that game with the secret, you know, the secret vines to climb up. Even, you know, sometimes many years later, you'd learn about, you know, you can jump above the warp zone. And secrets coming out many years later. And like that game it really had so much. I mean, it is so basic, you know, when you go back. And like I said, it's still, man, if you hadn't played it in a while, it's still kind of hard. I mean, even if you played it through the years and, you know many levels, you're still going to get to a point where it's like, oh man, or it's like, God, I hate these stupid cheeps, and you know, you're gonna hit that one, and it's still tough, and it's still just such a game that really is like stood the test of time. Like it's amazing, and then spawned yet so many games.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, and it's like, and you brought it up perfectly when you said that it kind of depends on how old you were, because I mean, like you think about the Super Mario 3D All Stars when it came out. The people that were really excited about it because of Super Mario 64, because of Sunshine, because of Galaxy. And I was like, I mean, I was excited about it. And of course I got it because, you know, I liked Mario 64 and Sunshine and stuff like that. I definitely wanted to go back and play Sunshine. But seeing the nostalgia from like folks in their early and mid 20s, and I'm just kind of like, man, why do they hold Mario 64 in such high regard? It's because they grew up on the 64. That was their introduction to the Nintendo, and it's crazy to think. And you know, Mario is the most recognized mascot next to like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. You know, like you can't go anywhere and not see Mario, which is crazy to think about with today's pop culture.
It's like he is. Yeah, he's like the official Nintendo mascot. And it really depends on, like you said, the year. Like, what was your Mario? And that's what's so great about it. You know, it like everybody has that one. Like, there's even generations you think that just start out with the Super. That's their Mario. You know, then you get the 64. That's their Mario. On up and up, because it's such a standard game. If you have a Nintendo system, you're going to have a Super Mario game. Even go back like Game Boy. You think of that, like there was probably a lot of kids that didn't have, you know, a home system. Maybe they had just a Game Boy, And then, which is kind of odd that, that was their Mario, and as different as it still fits. It has its criticisms, but man, like that was still a great one too. Completely different, but
Yeah,
yet still the same.
I would say the Super Mario Land games are so underrated. Super Mario Land 1, 2, and 3. Now, I know 3 is more of a Wario game, but for the time, the technology, the fact that these were full-fledged Mario games on the go, I mean, it's something that today, with technology, that we would take for granted, obviously, with the Switch and, all these various handhelds and your phone. I mean, folks can play games on their phones now. But the Game Boy, man, it was just like, I have a Mario game I can go anywhere and play, as long as I was in a well-lit area.
And it had batteries, but
yeah,
you got to defend that one, to the death, because Game Boy was the king of handhelds, despite capabilities of graphics, color, anything. They still pulled it off, and honestly, like 6 Golden Coins was one I didn't really play till I was an adult. Like I missed that one as a kid. I don't know if it came out later. I wasn't playing the Game Boy as much, but you could really see, elements in that they used later. Whether it be things like the rabbit ears and such, where that one felt more like a full-fledged Mario game. Like it's Super Mario Land. That was it's an oddball. People still consider it an oddball. Submarines. It's still cool. It's really small. He doesn't he's extra, like that's super small Mario right there.
Yeah.
But the Golden Coins definitely had the more look, kind of the established look that we kind of got, starting from 2. Which Super Mario 2 was, man, I still love that one. It's so different, and of course years later it's old story now, but of course the fact that it was a different game, but they managed to take it, make it a Mario game, feed it to you, and you still loved it, because I mean it was a good game, and that kind of established all the Mario characters kind of with the different abilities. The first time you could play as like Toad, it's like you could play as Princess, which was, I think, really great, maybe for young girls at the time. Mario was your good standard. And then, of course, Luigi, nobody liked using him at that time because he had those weird jumps, man.
yeah, the freaking leg kicks always got me. But I will say this: I asked the Facebook, I asked my Facebook. I was like, hey, we're doing an episode on Mario. What's some of your favorite moments? And let's see. So, the first one is from actually my girlfriend. This is the time a couple minutes ago when I made number 1 on Mario 35, which we will talk about that in games we've been playing. Lynn Cosby says, I remember being terrified of the main screen where Bowser flies above the castle in Super Mario World as a kid. The combination, the music and the lightning and the thunder still sticks with me. I remember that, man. That was pretty epic for the time. Like when you were fighting Bowser and he was in that clown car and it had the, I was about to say blast pod processing, but it was like the mode 7, like how it just zoomed in there and it was almost like 3D. That was really, really cool. Also, Justin says, my favorite thing is finding secrets in the games is just badass when you find a shortcut or a hidden area, like running on the top of a 1-2 in the original and find the warp pipes or the Rainbow Road in Super Mario World, or getting the special stages. That's the thing too, and that was like playground rumors. I remember, I don't know if you ever heard about this, James, but did you ever hear about the infamous chocolate factory in Super Mario Brothers?
Man, that sounds really familiar. I probably did, but that might have gotten lost in time.
There was this rumor, and I remember even folks would doctor pictures about it on magazines, that there was a level that you could, a world that was in the original Super Mario Brothers that was a chocolate factory, and it was just I was like, really? And I remember talking to my brother-in-law at the time, and we were talking about Super Mario, and he was like, hey, did you ever unlock the chocolate factory? And I'm like, the what? I was like, oh gosh, the chocolate factory. But I've never seen. I was trying to see if anyone had made videos about it on YouTube, but I've never really heard too much about it. Jared says, do. You know that that was the power of Mario. It's such a iconic song. And then Jason says, "When I found out Mario 2 was just a dream." That was that was crazy to find out Super Mario Brothers 2 was just a dream, wasn't real.
I still remember the Fireball Small. Man, that was like big. That was like big stuff, man. Back in the old one, you remember that one? It's like you do something where you hit yourself, and then you end up shooting out these green snot balls.
Yeah,
fireballs.
Yeah, or like of course.
Wait. Was that the green snot balls, or was the green snot balls in Mario 3 where
it was in Mario
against a wall?
Yeah, the green. I do remember there were green snot balls in Mario 3 when you were in the mushroom house, like the Toad house. If you had firepower,
Yeah, that's
it was green. I always thought that was kind of funny. I do remember that. Oh my gosh! And of course, you remember stuff like the Minus World in Super Mario.
Yeah.
Like that was just like some sort of weird game glitch, and they fixed it. Like you can't go back and like if I don't think you can unlock the Minus World and the Switch port of Super Mario Brothers. I don't think you can do that.
See, that's bad. It would be one of those great things. You could leave, and even the banging the turtle. Banging the turtle, that doesn't sound very good, but jumping on the turtle on these steps.
I had that at the tip of my tongue. I was about to say, yeah, when you would get so many lives that your counter wouldn't even be numbers. They would be card signs, like an ace or a spade or a heart, because you had so many. Because I sat there and I let it go for like an hour, just sitting there, bloop 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 bloop. It was in World 3, I think, Stage 1. Like you had the two Koopas coming down from the steps right before you get to the flagpole.
That really was, and I'd be hard pressed to say. I mean, as far as like favorite levels, I love it. Like it's complicated. I love the old pipe world on 3, and I'd have to say one of my newer ones.
I hate that world. I always skipped World 7 of Mario 3.
It is bad. It was it was irritating, but I liked it, and I still love. Granted, it's a little newer one, and I think it gets a little forgotten. But the original new Super Mario Brothers, and I think it kind of gets lost due to that use of new Super Mario Brothers. But the one that was on DS that had the Halloween stage, that one. Was that one was just really cool. And you think of all the games that it spawned to. Whether it was, which still has one of the best kart racing games. They did RPGs. We had puzzle games with Dr. Mario. They managed to cover like every aspect of gaming, and it was like, hey man, there was little Mario, like he was always there. And then finally his brother got just do more with the oh god damn it, what is the fucking Luigi's Mansion.
I thought it's like I thought you were going to mention when they did that whole year of Luigi on the Wii U. God, I love that, because I've always been a Luigi fan.
That one, yeah, that one definitely later on. Like I said, it was good to see as good as Just Do with the mansion. You finally get to see him, have his own game. He was a little bit of a wussy, but it was okay. But it was good to see him brought to life, with the Luigi U, and when they had that whole thing going on, and it was really good to see that. And it's just one that's really, man, he's just covered so many different aspects of different gaming, and he's still there. Lots of great little toys, and man, I saw like a Bowser's Castle toy set at GameStop, and I was just like. Part of me was like, oh, like I want that. Another part is like, man, that's just kind of like sit in the way. Like you don't really need that.
And that's the crazy thing too, is even people who aren't into video games know who Mario is. Like that's how impactful Mario has been in pop culture. Like you could talk to some like old person in their like 70s, at a grocery store and hold a picture of Mario. Like, who's that? They're like, that's Mario. That's that jumping guy that my grandson plays.
Gotta be one of the greatest mascots, and I mean, you can throw up other ones like, Sonic. Some people associate, Crash Bandicoot with Sony, but nobody tops Mario, man. It's like he's been around the longest.
Yep.
He's defeated people like Alex Kidd. Alex Kidd couldn't hang with Mario.
Nope.
Couldn't do that, They had to bring in Sonic, and Sonic, as awesome and cool as he was, he put up a fight, but it's like I'd still have to say, like, Mario's the one that kind of still comes out on top.
And I think it's just because the Mario character is just so, it's so classic and wholesome. Like, when you mention Sonic really looks like the test of time. Like, you look at Sonic and he looks like he's from the 90s. He's got the tood, he's got the shoes, he's got just that whole spunk about him that was cool in the 90s, skateboards, blah, blah, blah. But Mario is like so classic, like it doesn't matter what decade, what year we're in, like, no matter what happens in the world, Mario is always going to be this, Italian plumber saving the princess in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's like the Ramones of video games.
The formula doesn't change, but it's always great.
Exactly. Now, before we get into games we've been playing, I want to ask you, James, what is like your least favorite Mario game? I asked you what your definitive Mario, but what's your least favorite Mario?
Man, let's see if I'm going with just the.
Yeah, we'll go with the main ones. We won't go through all the spin-offs and stuff like that.
Oh no, I wasn't going to include spin-offs. I was just thinking of it's like it's just Mario series. Honestly, and it's the one that I've probably really played the least, and it's one I keep meaning to really go back through because I kind of missed out on it. But it's actually like Mario 64. Mm-hmm. And it's mainly just because I never really played it. Didn't even have it in 64. I didn't own it till later in life, and I've still only played it just a little bit. And I get that it was, game changing. It was many people's, first one, but it's the one I think by the time I played it, it was almost like, man, I don't really know if I'm gonna really want to play this now at this point.
Yeah.
And it's it's kind of, and I'm not knocking it. And at some point, because I got that 3D collection.
Yeah.
And I've been more wanting to play Sunshine, because that was another one I more completely missed, and that's why I'm not putting it on the list, because I didn't really play it at all. But the Mario 64 was the one. I think just at the time, I was never that big into 3D games. It took me a while, to adjust to where it became the standard. And I was just like, I'm getting confused, and my head's spinning, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And just give me 2D. I was going to be the old man about that. But, I'm not saying it's a bad one. It's just I haven't played it a whole lot. So that's why I picked that one.
I honestly, my least favorite Mario, and I know this is going to get hate from some people, but Super Mario 2. I don't hate it. It's not like I detest that game. It's not like I refuse to play it, but it's the one I don't play as much. And I think I've only beaten it maybe 4 times my whole life, which sounds insane compared to, I at least beat Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World once a year. I always go back and play that game in some shape or form. But that's probably my least favorite, and I can't really explain why, because it's a good game. It's good. It's very different. Maybe that's what it is, because I, grew up playing, my first Mario was Super Mario Brothers 3, and then my neighbor had the original Super Mario Brothers, so I played that, and then I remember we rented Super Mario Brothers 2 at Blockbuster, and I thought it was going to be more the same, and it wasn't. And maybe that...
It could be a time. Be a time frame thing, because with me, having Super Mario, going straight into Super Mario 2, and like I said, for a lot of us my age, Super Mario 2, that gave me this definitive look where everybody looked different. Mario was a little shorter, Luigi was a little taller, it had the more color. That was where it's like, man, that's what Mario's supposed to look like.
Yeah,
that heartbreaking thing later that it's not a Mario game.
Yeah, it was always, I always thought it looked really, really good, because like I said, I grew up with the cartoon, so I thought it looked more like the cartoon. I was like, this looks more like the Super Show. I like this because Luigi looked different than Mario, and
what it was those masks flying around.
Oh god, those freaking masks! Holy crap! I hated those things. And they brought them back in.
Hates those.
They brought those back in Mario Maker 2, and I'm like, why? There's stages with the sun from Mario 3 and the mask chasing you around.
No,
this nightmare fuel, man. Freaking nightmare fuel. But
that is hell.
Yeah. Super Mario Maker 2 though, Mario Maker 2, my gosh, that's such a good game. I actually fired it up not too long ago to see what kind of new levels people have made, because that's what me and Kimberly did for the longest time until we got into Animal Crossing, and now we're really into Mario 35, which I'll get to that in just a second.
I will say too. I mean, look at that, the Mario Maker. I mean, what an awesome thing! To get many years later, where those people that grew up with a bunch of I mean, granted, you can't make Mario 64 levels, but if many people over the years have played the older ones, and the fact that you can go in and create and make these hellish levels with suns and masks and fireball, those little spinning fireball wand things.
It was it was something that, like, I think for kids for many years, like, the closest they got to making their own Mario games or levels were drawing pictures. And like, now you had the technology to make your own levels, share them online, and have people all over the world play it. And it's something that I think some people, I don't want to say people take for granted, but people don't think about, It's just like, oh my gosh. So, but yeah, that's freaking insane. But, we're getting close to the end of the show. So let's get into games we've been playing recently. What have you been playing, James?
So I'm playing some Mafia, the new remade Mafia game. I love that story. I did finally get to a mission I forgot about, and it was a much hated level where you have to do a race, and you're in these old, like, clunky cars, and there's like 14 total racers, and you got to come in number one, and you can't skip it. And I mean, apparently I beat this level 18 years ago somehow, but I mean, I had more patience back then, and now I granted, like, I tried it like once or twice, and I was like, God, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, can I skip it? Like, I'm looking up, like, is there a cheat? Like, I'm like, damn it, there's nothing. So I kind of put that on hold for a minute, but I'm gonna go back because I did beat it before, and like I said, it's a great story, and it was just really cool to see that game, to me, being completely rebuilt. I did try out Hot Shots Racing, which is on Game Pass, and I'm gonna try it again, man. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for a racing game. Just something about it, like, wasn't clicking with me, and I feel bad about that. Where I'm thinking, it's got to be me, because it's like I've heard people talking. It's great. Like I said, we mentioned, Jason Heine, friend of the show, awesome dude, did soundtrack. And soundtrack stuff's great. I love the graphic look. But playing it, and maybe I just hadn't played a racer in a little while, and I think that could be it. And,
I would say next time you play it, play the Grand Prix mode, which is like very archaic in the sense that you have a certain time, and every time you hit that finish line, you get more time. That's the way I play it. It's so good.
Yeah, maybe I did like a single race or something, and I did because I hadn't tried it yet. And I'm sure you played it much more, but I did want to try out the Mario 35.
Oh yeah.
Don't know how long. It's going to be up. Oh, I will say, too, I did play some Star Tropics a little bit, which I hadn't played in years. I just went on the NES games.
Was that what you were playing Was that what you were playing this morning?
Let's see, this morning. No, I was playing Mario 35 this morning.
Oh, okay, because I saw that it was like Gruesome's online. I'm like, what's he playing?
Yeah, no, that would have been the 35. I wanted to get a little bit in because I hadn't tried it yet. But yeah, Star Tropics, man, that one kind of, I remember renting that one back in the day, and it's one I never really went back to. And I was kind of digging it, man. It's been a while, but I like having the options to go on there. And then, like I said, the Mario 35 also had an issue with like a washing machine breaking this morning, and I was like, I meant to wake up earlier and just do a couple things. I woke up late, and it's like I have this washing machine. I'm sitting there, and I'm freaking out, and I'm just like, this is why. And I'm sitting there also playing Mario 35. My wife was like, just go play the game. I wasn't really look. I just happened to have the switch in my hands, and it was just fun. I was like, yeah, it'll be okay. At least the washer didn't burn up and it didn't flood. And I just got to get a new one. It's probably 20 years old, so honestly, it's been a good washer. And I was glad. I remember last episode I said I couldn't find my 3DS. Which actually I did find it. It was I found it because I had this other little cheap knockoff handheld. It's like a little multiplayer thing I got for like $20. And I
Yeah.
remember it was down in the couch with my 3DS, and we were cleaning out the couch. We'd moved them, and I happened to see the cheap little knockoff thing, and I was like, wait a minute, I got the 3DS is down, and then I had moved it, and so I did find my 3DS. I was glad, so I'll definitely be firing that up soon. But other than watching some horror movies and stuff lately, I will say, anybody, if you're interested in streaming services and you like Puppet Master, Full Moon has an offer where if you sign up for their streaming service for a year, which is $60, you get a free 12-disc Puppet Master Blu-ray set, which really, I mean, that's worth $60, and that was kind of why I got it. But there's a ton of like weird stuff on there, and it equates out to about $5 a month. But if you love Puppet Master, I mean, only 1 through 3 are really the only ones that are very good. But you get a fucking code, and you go to this one site, and they send you a free set, which is great for Halloween. I don't know if it'd get there in time, but there's still lots of other things that you can watch. But Puppet Master 1 through 3, yeah, those are great.
Indeed. And for me, I've been playing a lot of Mario 35. I am like addicted to Mario 35. And what's funny is like I'm not big into battle royales. I'm not big into that concept, but the game is just it's so fast paced. It's going through something I'm familiar with. I mean, it's Super Mario. And the fact that you're battling the people, you're sitting there trying to get the best time, trying to get through it, and you see all the people dying on the sides, like the poofs, and you're like, oh, that was number 35, that was number 34. I want to be number 1, And it was funny because I remember when it launched, I was downloading it, and I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, hey, I'm downloading Mario 35, and she's like, okay. Then she saw me like play it on TV, and she's like, I want that. I'm like, it's free. So she went and downloaded it on her Switch Lite, and she's been playing it too. So we've been playing a lot of that. I am doing a review very soon of Heroes of Hammerwatch, which is a roguelike on the Switch. The company reached out to me, and they sent me a review copy. So I've been playing some of that. I'm not going to say too much because I want to leave it for the review, but it's been interesting. And as the time of recording this, I did upload a games I've been playing episode 16. So a lot of the games I might be talking about, I'll also talk about on that video, but I'll talk a little bit more in depth in the video. Because the last game I want to talk about is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Madness on mobile. It's just a mindless mobile game, and would I recommend it? Probably not. But I've been really enjoying it. It's just one of those games. It's just like, it's so mindless. You unlock turtle characters and they fight each other, and you don't even have that much control. You're just like pushing a little button and just watching them fight. But it's nostalgia. And speaking of nostalgia, I will say one last thing I played. I was listening to Axe the Blood God podcast, and they were doing their Xbox 360 console RPGs, and they talked about Lost Odyssey, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot about Lost Odyssey, and I forgot that I had my brother-in-law, he had borrowed my copy, so I got my copy back from him. I hooked up the Xbox 360, and I had this crazy nostalgic just joyride because I forgot what the 360's browser looked like. I forgot about the dashboard. I looked at my avatar I made back in like 2011. It was insane. It was insane seeing like the 360 and remembering everything I was doing back then. It's kind of like I've been listening to a lot more older podcasts lately. I've been going back and listening to All Gen Gamers podcasts from like 2012 to 2013. Just because of the new consoles coming out, I've been listening to them talk about the PS4 and Xbox One announcements. It's been a very nostalgic month for me.
Yeah, this is always fun. I still wish I had reached out once I tried again. One of the old podcasts I listened to was Sega Addicts, which the sad thing was is all their episodes completely disappeared.
Oh no!
And I do I'm still keeping slight contact with a few of the guys, and it was a while back when I'd reached out to one, to see if there were some files. Because, man, a lot of those ones were so timeless because they, it's like when they do a little bit of current stuff sometimes, but mostly it focuses on so much old stuff and just the history of Sega. And they were such a big influence on me from the start. Still one of my favorites, and I really hate it that I still have one of their shirts they sent me just because like I listened to all their old podcasts in like a month span, and they'd had a bunch at the time, and they just sent me a shirt like just because, and it's like I still have that, and it was just, man, that was a great one. It's like I wish I could go back, man. Listen to those. Like they're just not. I might check YouTube again, but I remember checking every once in a while, and like it disappeared. They changed because there is a Sega Addicts, I will say, but it's not the same guys. They kind of handed it over, and they started doing Gaming of the Shrew, but that one also disappeared. Like they didn't even leave up the old episodes, and it was really kind of sad because it's just really cool. You can go to ones like that, and it's like you said, have that nostalgia trip, go back in time, for so many years ago and listen, but it's just gone. But damn it, I know they're somewhere. I'll find them one day.
Well, and guys, if you're listening and you want to listen to old episodes of XSGaming Podcast, we do have episodes archived on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Xander Skullion, and I have a playlist of XSGaming Podcast from our current episode all the way to some old episodes. Not all the episodes we've ever done is on that playlist, but it gives you a pretty good idea of like how we are now and what we've become and how we were back then, and not much has changed really. The audio quality's changed. That's about it. Our intros have changed, but we've been the same people since we started back in 2012.
We're just older now.
Wow. But anyway, guys, this concludes another episode of XSGaming Podcast. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening to us, and be sure to leave us a review. Let people know about the show, because it does help the transparency of the show and helps more folks find our shows and listen to our podcast. We definitely appreciate it. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and as always, happy gaming.
Look forward to Halloween episode coming up soon. Play some Mario and have a pleasant evening, everybody.